Well, what we were discussing is how to think about money. And obviously business in some ways is how do you think about this thing that we call money,
Right.
and how do you move it around to do interesting things with it? How do you convert things into it? How do you convert it into things that aren't monetary? And the observation that I've made more recently is if you look at like the population, maybe 5 or 10% of people are good at being able to organize time, intellect, insights,
Right.
intelligence in ways that they can convert those things into money.
Yeah.
But money in and of itself, I mean, it's just pieces of paper. Like it has no inherent value. The reason why it has value for us is because the potential of what it can then be converted into.
Right.
And what I've observed is actually the number of people who are good at understanding how to then convert money, especially large amounts of money, into meaningful things is actually smaller than the number of people who know how to create, how to convert things into money. And that unless you actually get good at both sides of that exchange rate,
Right.
then your business skills aren't really worth that much. Like you can get a whole pile of money, a whole money bin full of money, but if you don't know how to convert that then into actual meaningful things that are non-monetary, then like what's the point?
Right.
And so for me, that's probably the stage of life that I'm in right now, where the process of how do I take these things and convert it into making more money, I've gotten good at that.
Yeah.
I've developed those skills, and you never want to say it's easy, but relatively easy to do that. Now I'm in the much more challenging and I think interesting question of how do you then convert monetary things into non-monetary things that really matter, and what are those things that really matter to you? So one of the most obvious ones for people is time. I want to, when you're young, you trade time for money, but then you hope that you can then trade money for time. But I think that there's a lot of other really interesting conversions that you can do with money once you have it, and especially once you have some where you're not just taking care of your basic needs, but you actually have extra money. So anyway, that's been a theme I think right now, and really for the rest of my life, because I don't know what you usually talk about on the podcast, but obviously you've built a company, I built a company, and the enterprise value gets to this number where it's like, okay, this is many, many, many lifetimes worth of money, when we're talking about basic needs. So, and obviously I don't need all that. So, okay, how should I use this money in a way that brings meaning and purpose to my life, but is also like, hopefully a way to celebrate getting there and the success. And so anyway,